Again, friends, glad you could join us. Welcome to the 8th round, the midway point to this Monkey Mafia esports season, and the last round before we go to the Christmas and New Year's break. The hotspot on the call with you once again. We're here from the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria, for what should be a fantastic race this, with potentially some rain on the way. But first, let's get you through your starting lineup. It will be Ayahuasca on pole. His pole time of 1:03.817 was good enough for the top spot. Lancey the Dutchman in his home Grand Prix, second in that McLaren, 3.5 tenths behind. It'll be DJE Flat in third. Fourth will be Taylor McKenzie ahead of Rapid Rhymer by 5/100ths in fifth. Ronnie sixth ahead of Charlie Golf in seventh by about 3/100ths. King Pro Player also about 3/100ths behind Charlie Golf. He'll start eighth. Ninth will be Slayer Eyes. 10th will be Granny. 11th will be Capitan. 12th will be JC Autolabs. The row 7 belongs to the Williams Anime Boy and Jacob. 13th and 14th. Gab 15th. Valentine 16th. Gatillo 17th. It'll be 18th and 19th for the pair of the Alpines. And it'll be Yomi in the Red Bull, rounding out the grid P20. Once again here, potentially rain on the way. About 45 minutes in is what Slayerized has told me. Big thank you for him. But first, what we'll do here, we will go through our driver and constructor standings while we've got a minute now. After Abu Dhabi, last time out, Ayahuasca does lead the point standings only by 8 points over Reimer in second, 168 to 160. Granny, not far behind either at 155. It'll be Ronnie in fourth at 124. Cam Tizzle 123. King Pro Player 122. 111 for Lancey, 88 for Slayer Eyes, 87 for Charlie Golf, 83 for Caesar. That'll be your top 10 of the drivers. As far as the constructors are concerned, it is that of the V-Carbs. On top of the points, 251 to the Aston Martins, 243, 238 for the McLarens, 192 for Mercedes, 185 for Haas, 175 for Alpine. 142 for Sauber, 138 for Red Bull, 130 for the Willies, and 112 for the Ferrari. So, this Red Bull Ring circuit, one of the fastest, and, I think looks can be slightly deceiving. We look at the layout for this track, we say, probably not all too much gonna happen here as far as, danger and staying out of people's way. Well, I'll tell you what, this track is very tricky. Because as it turns out, not only is this track difficult to stay within track limits, it's also one of those circuits that you really do have to work to get around people. You are aided by 3 DRS sections, of course. First down the pit straight into the Niki Lauda corner up the hill. From Niki Lauda corner down to up to Remus turn 3. And then from turn 3 down to Schlossgold turn 4. Those are your 3 DRS sections. A lot of overtaking going to be done. A lot of RG-bargy. And I'm assuming a lot of track limits penalties as well. And even potentially some rain towards the back end, like I've mentioned. Cold ones have been cracked open. We are ready to go for the last round of 2024 and beginning to propel ourselves into the back half of the season after the Christmas and New Year's break. It's been a very fun season this so far. Not necessarily dominated, I would say, by anybody. Of course, we've got our usual suspects from time to time. Obviously, Reimer taking all four out of the first 4 rounds. Granny taking 2 out of the last 3, Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi. Cam Tizzle, the only other driver of the season so far to have won a round. That was round 6 in Qatar. Coming up next, just a reminder, after this holiday break, we do head to, hey, look at that, that's my birthday. We'll head to Silverstone for January the 6th. It'll be the Netherlands on January the 13th, and Singapore for January the 20th. And here we are then, lights turning on here, formerly the A1 ring, who will finish P1 today in Spielberg. We are underway as Ayahuasca gets a pretty good start, but Lancey up the inside almost immediately. It's 3 abreast behind them, right around the outside. Oh, contact between the Haas and the Mercedes. Ayahuasca is going to have to go well wide, and the 2 McLarens will migrate towards the top here. As we look back, Taylor McKenzie side by side with the Sauber of Charlie Golf. We do have the other Sauber of Gatillo, who's gone around to the back. Charlie Golf will outbreak the Haas into the corner. 2 by 2 they go, almost 2 teams at a time here. As we also look, Charlie Golf now wheel to wheel with Charlie Golf heading down the hill into Schlossgold turn 4 as they look at Ayahuasca and hope somebody can probably make a move at him. Oh, that's a lot of contact there. Not only has DJE Flat gotten into the side of Charlie Golf, he's also gotten into Taylor McKenzie from behind, and now Ronnie to the inside of the other Haas, and DJE Flat is losing spots left, right, and center. That is just the sad truth to the ordeal at the moment for the Mercedes in question. But meanwhile, the top 2 remain. Lancey, the Dutchman, the hometown hero, I guess virtually, in the top spot over his teammate of Reimer by half a second. 16 to 25. That is your tire strategy from the mediums. to the hards. Let's get a look and see who's on what. And I'd say we got a pretty good mix between the hards and the mediums. Lancey on the hards, Reimer on the mediums. That's good. The two McLarens have chosen different strategies there. We'll get back to that in a second. DRS is activated here. Obviously, after the first lap, will Reimer be able to challenge his teammate ahead of him? It doesn't initially look like he will, but up the hill they go. And wow, isn't this beautiful carving through the countryside this? As now, Taylor McKenzie, I think, is going to have a good looky here at Charlie Golf, potentially. Charlie Golf's actually gotten much better acceleration. I think he could probably challenge Ayahuasca. Or will Ayahuasca get to Reimer first? That's going to be the million-dollar question, as, unfortunately, that question remains unanswered, as nothing really has happened to the braking zone this time. As Gatillo has retired, that being in the pit straight, has not found the completion of the second lap of the Grand Prix, and we are down to 19 out of the scheduled 20. We do have a virtual safety car. Oh, it's one of the Red Bulls. It's Yami who's gone off. That exiting turn 4. I actually quite wonder where he's gone off there. That car has retired. That car is definitely on track, parked. I think he crashed and then retired afterwards, but I believe there was enough front wing out anyways to warrant this virtual safety car, and it doesn't appear anyways that anybody's going to bite for the pit lane this early. Remember, rain is definitely possible 45 minutes into the session as called by Slayer Ice. So a virtual safety car here and maybe another full, and towards the last 5 to 10 laps of the Grand Prix, we could find ourselves in intermediate running. That is definitely, I would think, not necessarily best case scenario, especially if you're a driver, but as far as the neutral perspective from the comms box, that is something you definitely got to hope for here. We do have the Williams of Jacob making an early entrance into the pit lane. I believe he's going to be choosing the medium tires if he hasn't already. Reminder that when the race is wet, you do not need to switch to another tire compound if you don't need to. As Jacob's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety cars. Oh, we got a couple of mix-ups here as we get back to green flag racing. Charlie Golf was forced into the sand on the outside at turn 4. He's fallen down to 8th now as Slayer Eyes gets around him. I think he may have gotten into it there with Ayahuasca. That was slightly odd. But either way, the two Haas's have made their way up to 3rd and 4th, the two McLarens to 1st and 2nd, as previously mentioned. DJE Flat seems to have recovered a little bit. He's back up to 5th. Ayahuasca has dropped 5 spots, and is now down to 6th. Valentine's up 4, Slayer is up 2, the pair of the Alpines up 3 apiece, as fastest lap now belongs to DJE Flat as they make their way up the hill through the Nicky Lauda corner, and then down the, I say it's a straight here. This kind of little bit of a kink is actually labeled as a turn. This is turn 2, up in towards, which, Remus? Turn 3? There is corner names to it, it's just sponsor advertisements, but I do like being proper, I really do. So heading down now towards Schlossgold, turn 4. Taylor McKenzie is going to have a look at Reimer potentially. Well, I thought he was. Drivers aren't going to be as daring into that 4th corner. It's just really not going to happen. If you're going to make a move, it's up the hill in towards turn 3. Maybe if you get lucky, exiting 4, side by side through 5, and in through Rausch corner, turn 6, and in towards the Worth curve of turn 7. Then you make your way through turn 8 here, over the curb, nice as you'd like, where Juan Pablo Montoya once saw a deer. In through the Jacques and Rindt corner, turn 9, named after the 1970 Drivers' Champion, who unfortunately did not finish the season due to his untimely death, as the only posthumous F1 driver champion in its history. As Taylor McKenzie is going to be our first victim of the 3-second multiple warnings penalty today for going wide there, I believe out of the Jacques and Rindt corner of turn 9. His teammate of Ronnie is going to already have a look down to the inside. Meanwhile, DJE Flat is looming large and trying to get to the inside of both the Haas's. Here he goes, looking for the inside and not going to have it, although still has parked that car on the apex of the corner. Taylor McKenzie have to take him the long way around and has actually made it happen. Slayer Eyes for the inside of Charlie Golf. They're wheel to wheel, making their way down to Schlossgold turn 4. As DJE Flat still side by side, and the Haas is going to outbreak him then. Also, thankfully enough for DJE Flat, he's not quite under pressure yet. Granny and Charlie Golf still wheel to wheel here as they make their way towards turn 5 and in through turn 6 and over towards turn 7. There's been some great action here so far, as to be expected with this track, one of the most overtaking heavy circuits in all of F1. Wonderful circuit this. Love visiting this in the comms box time and time again. It is just such a fantastic venue of motor racing. As Ayahuasca up the inside of DJE Flat and will take that 5th spot, although he'll go really quite heavy over the apex. Oh, and well, DJE Flat's going to get through him there. Not the way you or I would expect. Goes into the back end of Ayahuasca. Ayahuasca begins to ghost, and DJ Flat drives straight through him. Ronnie up the inside of Reimer. Really has sent it up the inside there, up through Remus, turn 2. Oh, making lots of contact now. And Reimer into the wall, very similar to how he and, it was he and King Pro Player did at Abu Dhabi. Just, I think, last week as well. Remember, they were going down the straight and got into each other like that. It's happened again here for Reimer. Thankfully, I don't believe he's got all that much damage. But, I mean, come on now. This is getting slightly unlucky for Reimer here. Second place in the title. Oh, Ayahuasca, that was a big slide. And he is losing positions now. Back to 8th. Well, I was just about to say, Reimer had his championship rival ahead of him. Suddenly has taken the express route to behind Reimer and down to the 8th spot and is now under pressure from both Granny King Pro Player. And I would even throw Capitan into that mix as well. Reimer now becomes the second driver of the day to pick up a 3-second penalty as we're up the hill and beginning turn lap 7 here through the Niki Lauda corner. I will say Lancey, for the time being, is going to be pressured here by Taylor McKenzie. This will be the closest anyone's gotten to overtaking Lancey here since really the start of the race. Is Taylor McKenzie going to look for it up the inside? He had a bit of a peak there. Nothing really else, tell you the truth. Slayer Eyes around the outside of Reimer trying his best, not quite. Ronnie's actually going to try to slip it to the inside now of the Aston Martin, and it looks like he's going to get that spot. Maybe some DRS to the back end of Reimer as Taylor McKenzie outbreaks Lancey in through the corner, but Lancey's going to switch him back and reclaims the top spot as Reimer, I believe, has done quite the same with Ronnie as they're side by side, going through 5 and in through 6. The Haas now has the spot. Goodness me, so much action happening here now. Ayahuasca trying to file in behind King Pro Player. Maybe will he get a run at the Mercedes exiting the 10th corner as they go through Jacques and Rins now. Doesn't look as if anybody's going to go wide and pick up a penalty this time quite yet. King Pro Player, I think, has had a halfway decent exit of that corner, although he's not quite going to get to Slayer Eyes. You're not really going to see many more moves made up through that first corner, but Taylor McKenzie's going to go up through turns 2 and 3, and it looks like he'll get round Lancey now, despite having that 3-second penalty. DJE Flat falling in behind. And I think it's interesting here because this is one of the few tracks on schedule that you can pick up a 3-second penalty and still have relative reason to go balls to the wall and try to get around the cars around you, because it's almost a surefire possibility and expectation that the cars around you are going to pick up time penalties here. It's unfortunate, and in real life we've seen measures to combat that, as well as the gravel traps placed immediately outside the exit curb, but that is not yet to be put in the game. The King Pro has gotten around Slayer Eyes up to the 8th spot. Valentine and Ayahuasca now side by side through 5, heading through turn 6 and 7. Exiting turn 7 they go. Valentine, and now through turn 8. Valentine does have the inside, and they're going to sort that one out before they get to the Jacques and Rins corner. And Ayahuasca down to 12th. It's been a terrible start here for the V-Carb. Slightly, and I say slightly, very much so, uncharacteristic for that V-Carb. I'm very much wondering what's happening to him here as now we head up towards turn 3 as Taylor McKenzie leads Lancey only by a 10th and a half. DJE Flat watches on. Lancey to the inside. He's going to outbreak the Haas with relative ease. Let's see if Taylor McKenzie will be able to get back on acceleration and take him back. Doesn't apparently, for the time being, seem as that's going to be the case, as we're 2 by 2 stacked up here exiting turn number 3 as Reimer leads this brigade and trying to hold on to the spot. Look at Grant, he's going to try it to the inside of Charlie Golf there. Charlie Golf's going to try to outbreak the Haas. Little bit of contact as they still haven't sorted this one out. Charlie Golf only barely leads to the Haas and the Mercedes and the Aston behind him. 2 by 2 they go. It looks like your everyday NASCAR race going on now, as still wheel to wheel here. This is brilliant racing, as they're going to get, I think, touched just a little bit there, going through 7 and maybe through 8 as well. King Pro Player seems to have ditched the Aston and Granny for the time being, and Ronnie's going to get out ahead of Charlie Golf before they go through turn 9. Thankfully, they've sorted that one out, at least for the next 15 seconds or so. Up through the Niki Lauda corner once again. We'll check back with these fellas in a minute. We want to focus on the battle for the lead as Taylor McKenzie, despite having that 3-second penalty. Oh, look at this! DJE Flat up the inside. He's taken both of them. Will he be able to stay hard on the brakes long enough to be able to get through? Oh, Taylor McKenzie has tried to go on the inside of DJE Flat. Several amounts of contact being made. Lancey's actually going to lose that spot down to 3rd, as now King Pro Player wheel to wheel with Charlie Golf as the Aston of Granny trying to get back on in on this one as well. as Ronnie is actually very much under pressure from these two as well. Reimer has pulled away ahead of the Haas in question, and now, why it has to be said, I think Granny, who initially was looking like he was out of this battle, might find his way back in, as well as potentially his teammate is Slayerized, and El Capitan behind. Remember, we are expecting rain towards the back end of this Grand Prix, so any safety car here will give us pretty much more rain running. We've had the one virtual, which didn't really amount to all that much, except I think Ayahuasca got caught out by surprise, and we did have, I believe, Jacob pick up that drive-through. But either way, it has been a very chaotic but entertaining start to this Grand Prix. Gab has picked up a 3-second penalty now, as King Pro Player trying to find the outside of the Haas of Ronnie now, and realistically, moments after he gets DRS, he's going to make that one happen, as Granny's going to get around Charlie Gulf in a very similar fashion. Up now through turn 3, as King Pro finds his way to the outside. Granny still hasn't quite found acceleration just yet. You can see he's used about 50% of his energy store there as well, whereas the cars around him, I'm going to say, is quite even. As that's Granny to the inside of Ronnie, wheel to wheel they go. I think maybe was there a little bit of contact there, nothing really worth complaining about, that's for sure. Take a look back at your penalty track. Actually, let's go over tires again really quick. So, 5 out of the top 10 resides on the medium. The rest of the grid currently, only 3 other cars reside on the hard tires. Everybody else has gone medium for this occasion. Crucially, though, DJE Flat, our leader, has gone hard, and I think that's going to prove very interesting when we do get to tire strategies. I'm quite interested to see how this one's going to play out, especially because, again, if we have rain on the way, like expected, these guys are going to try to take these tires as long as they possibly can. They're not going to want to stop and you know, have to waste the time to only have to be able to stop again once that rain starts falling. That's going to be a huge issue when we get to that stage. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and we might just burn it behind us. But DJE Flat driving potentially, I was going to say away from Taylor McKenzie. That doesn't appear to be the case. The Haas is keeping some great pace right now. And for the time being, Lancey actually might have a little bit of the disadvantage here. He has not really closed in on this battle for the top 2 since having been overtook for the lead. And what I will say is this DJE Flat, I don't want to say looks comfortable. You're never comfortable in the lead of a Grand Prix, but at least for the time being, he looks confident. Being comfortable is one thing, being confident weighs a lot more. And I think for the time being, DJE Flat is looking very confident. Lancey's going to pull to the inside. He's going to allow, sorry, that's Reimer. I think Reimer, knowing that he is not going to be in position for that battle, he's going to allow King Pro Player by. Reimer for the time being, and I think that's interesting. I don't want to say it's smart from Reimer, but King Pro Player on the hard tires. Reimer will not need to, he will need to stop sooner, obviously, and he is still pulling ahead of Granny ever so slightly. Matter of fact, now as I say that, he's losing time. As Ayahuasca to the inside of Charlie Gulf, potentially, as they go side by side down the hill and looking through turn 4. If they don't sort this one out, this could be danger. Ayahuasca will back that car down enough on the inside, and at least for the time being, looks cleanly, not necessarily ahead of Charlie Gulf here, but at least still side by side and clean enough. Maybe a slight bit of contact there, none that I've noticed. Still wheel to wheel, still side by side, and Ayahuasca, as they exit 7 and go through 8, has finally got that 8th spot back. So as we're getting closer to halfway through this Grand Prix, let's take you through who's moved where. DJE Flat and Taylor McKenzie both up 2 spots, although McKenzie obviously having that 3-second time penalty, as I'm sure I've mentioned millions of times already. King Pro up 4, Granny up 4, Valentine up 4, Frenchie up 4 as well. JC Auto Labs is going to be our first, what I would say, strategical pit stop of the day. Ayahuasca crucially down 7. He's the biggest loser for the time being. As into the braking zone at 3. Awesome contact there. Taylor McKenzie's going to float to the inside after getting on the throttle a little bit too early into the back end of the Mercedes. And Lancey, I think, is going to have a fair look here. Well, I thought so, at least. Oh, it's a big lockup on the back end. And as they get back on throttle, Lancey, yet again, is at the disadvantage here. Looking a little bit further back, Ronnie once more, 0.3 of a second ahead of Ayahuasca. Of course, is on the 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, as well as McKenzie, as well as Charlie Gulf, Valentine, and Gab. The grid, I think, at least, well, I was going to say calm down. We do have Frenchie and Gab side by side. This is for the 14th spot, exiting turn 5 and going in through turn 6. The Red Bull will try to have this one round the outside. and Frenchie in the French car will stay on the inside and take that spot. Meanwhile, now it's a good little stack up as Granny leads. Ayahuasca trying to shoot through the middle, and he's absolutely done it, as now Ronnie has gotten around Granny as well. That is a fantastic couple of moves there. Granny, unfortunately, has gotten the worst of it. Ayahuasca has gone gutsy there and has gotten in between the Haas and the Aston Martin, and then the Haas gets around the Aston as well. Up now through turn 3 is, oh, Granny's going to try to send it to the inside. Yeah, not quite. I thought he was going to have a look. As we do have, that's Capitan, has spun round, getting on the throttle, coming out of turn 3. It is a mistake that we do see, not as commonly, but, oh no. Okay, well, a second mistake there. That one less as common as the first one he's made. Going from bad to worse here for one half of the Scuderia. DJE Flat still leads Taylor McKenzie by 7.5, 8/10 of a second. Lancey behind by 2.5 as they make their way out of turn 10 and up this pit straight into the Niki Lauda corner once again. Lancey, I'm a little surprised. Well, you can see what he's doing here on his telemetry. I'll open it once again for you here. He has saved it quite a bit, about 95%. We can expect he's going to begin to use it here any lap. I think what he's going to do is when he gets to his in lap, he's going to absolutely hammer the energy store and try his best to put down the best, absolutely best possible lap. As you can see, he's still not using it. I think by now, I would have expected him to be able to get around Taylor McKenzie. Those medium tires that McKenzie is on, surely by this stage, is not as good as they probably could be. So, little surprised that Lancey hasn't sent it on him quite yet. Do have a couple of pit lane takers towards the back end. Anime Boy, JC, Frenchie, Jacob, Capitan, and Gazboy have all made their way in, and I can assume we're going to start to see some of the front-running medium tire users come in as Taylor McKenzie. That was a big slide on the inside curb of the Jock and Rindt corner, as now he's gotten back on throttle, has lost, and is now outside of a second. Back to back to DJE Flat. Reimer did everything he could to get that car backed into pit lane speed limit, as it will be onto the hard tires for the McLaren as ahead. Lancey has finally gotten around Taylor McKenzie, and that appears to be with ease over. The McLaren's going to go slightly wide. Taylor McKenzie might just be able to have a fair look at the McLaren here. Well, I stand corrected. I thought he got a much better exit than maybe he did. But either way. So we have a yellow flag going through turn 6 and 7. That was the Ferrari of Capitan. It appears he's still missing that bit of the front wing. I was going to say it appears he sorted it out. That's not exactly the case. So I'm just wondering, this time, do we see Taylor McKenzie pit here? We are probably, I was going to say well into the pit window, but that's not exactly the case, although Taylor McKenzie's going to pick up an additional 3-second penalty. I think what we're starting to see, as Capitan is retired, that being in the pit lane, while I think, as we're halfway through this Grand Prix, I thought, and I think what Taylor McKenzie's trying to do, he's trying to stay out on those tires as long as he can. The overcut is definitely an interesting choice, considering we do have potential rain on the way. Yeah, I think that's going to really hurt him. I do not like this call by Taylor McKenzie to stay out longer than he has to. Of course, all of his immediate competitors are also on the hard tires, but I mean, still starting to really fall into overcut territory now, and I don't really like that look for him at this stage. So now, once again, battle between the top two of Lancey and DJE Flat as they go through 7 and through 8. DJE Flat, who I think got a little bit loose coming off of 8 there, or something. He's lost quite a bit of time to the Dutchman here, as through turn 9 and down through turn 10 they go. Well, a bit of a slide getting on the throttle there for Lancey. Those hard tires couldn't be much better. Up through turn 1 and on acceleration they go. Lancey still is really not using the majority of his energy store. DJE Flat, I think we can say, has started to use some of it defensively. as Ayahuasca around the outside of King Pro player. Reimer will obviously get around Slayerized and Valentine, both of which into the pit lane. Grid is going to probably start to spread out here now that we've got different strategies on tap, but what we do see as well, still the battle for the top 3. Been a splendid bit of battling this amongst these 3 cars. And oh, contact there between Charlie Golf and Ronnie up through turn 3. I only just caught on with that one, still side by side. I think Charlie Golf is going to temporarily let him have the spot. They're wheel to wheel now. And down in through turn 4. The Haas was earlier on the brakes. Charlie Golf manages to get around the outside, but they're still not separated yet. It's about magnets between these two, it seems. As finally, Charlie Golf, well, I say gets ahead. He's not pulled away, though. Ronnie's had a much better go through turn 6. Tell you what, he's done very well so far. Let's see, potentially through turn 9, and still, I will say, though, off to that side of the track and even up ahead, it is beginning to get slightly cloudy. Although, I think, at this stage in the race, if the rain does happen, it's only going to be for the final maybe 5 laps. I'm not sure. We're going to see it enough, as Ronnie giving him a bit of a wave there, it seems. I don't believe we're going to see the rain enough to play a lasting impact in this race. I think it is really going to be those final 5 laps or less are going to be damp, and it is really going to shake things up, that's for sure. And even if that's fine and dandy, that'd be really cool to see. I think I would like to see at least a couple of laps of wet running. And see, and it's also fun to see the strategy, how that happens when we get onto the wet tires as well. That transition from from dries to wets is different for everybody. Drivers will feel comfortable at different stages of the races now. Lancey is going to get back around DJE flat, that being up the hill through turn 1, and I think he's actually had DRS there from Jacob. So that's helped him a lot, as Ronnie does now set the fastest lap. Well, DJE Flat chooses not to try to dive on Lancey that time. Just a reminder, only the top 5 still have yet to stop. Taylor McKenzie is the only remaining medium tire runner in which he started on the grid. Everybody else on those hards. Taylor McKenzie doing what I thought he was going to try to do and stay out on those mediums as long as he possibly could, and he's doing it for the time being. Question is how much longer can he hold on? He is, of course, also on 6 seconds in penalty, but what I will say is this: it has gotten rather gray rather quickly. I mean, it's gotten about as gray as the outlook on my future really quick, because as it turns out, I mean, we knew the rain was on the way. Is it going to be coming sooner rather than later? And when it does come, it's sure... Oh, God, well, I can't put that together in an English way. That doesn't sound perverted. I apologize. When it does happen, when it does begin to rain, how will these drivers handle it? As that's a big lock up there from DJE Flat on the way in through 4. I think this is a very interesting position here for Lancey. If I'm him at this point, as we do have Anime Boy being overtaken quite a lot there, going out of 3. He's going to be side by side with Slayerized. I think for Lancey, this is going to be one of the only stages of this race where he does not want to be in the lead. You know why? Because when that rain starts falling, he then will make the decision for everybody else behind him. As Ayahuasca and King Pro player, Taylor McKenzie and King Pro player, for that matter, are all right close to each other here, as Ronnie's going to get around Charlie Gulf. But anyway, this is a terrible spot to be in for Lancey. Because again, when that rain starts falling, you are now making the decision for everybody immediately behind you. As contact there big time between King Pro and Taylor McKenzie. Lancey's choice when he decides to make it will dictate what DJ E flat does. It will dictate what Ayahuasca does. King Pro, Taylor McKenzie, probably as well Reimer. I think Reimer will have to get a little bit more creative. He is, of course, 13 and a half seconds behind, as we do have a couple of cars spun here. Anime Boy and JC Autolabs up through turn 1. I think was there some contact there? Well, there absolutely was. I'm not really rightly sure what else it would be. Neither of them have hit the barriers on the inside or outside of the track, and the track stays green. And just waiting for the rain to begin to fall here as we come up closer to 10 laps to go in what has so far been a fantastic Austrian Grand Prix. Lancey. Have I been calling Lancey the hometown hero this whole time? That's just not even true. He's not Austrian, he's Dutch. Well, I guess it kind of makes sense, isn't it? This is the Red Bull ring. That doesn't even make sense either. Red Bull is a... Never mind. You know what? Sometimes I think too far ahead of myself, and I get myself into these situations where I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. That does happen from time to time. It's absolutely happened here. Maybe, you know, we are having the Dutch Grand Prix in a couple of weeks when we get back from the Christmas break. That'll be round 2 of the next 3. So, yeah, I guess then. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. Anyway. Lancey, the not hometown hero. Well, Anime Boy is retired, that being in the pit lane as it turns out. And of course, once again, we are coming up closer to 10 laps to go, and still, DJ E flat. But Taylor McKenzie has allegedly left the session. I don't know what's going on with him. That car is now ghosted. Mind you, Ayahuasca is starting to close in on this top 2 here. Oh, and the rain is beginning. Here it is now. The rain is on its way, and now Lancey has a hell of a decision to make. When does he decide to make the call to come in for the intermediate tires? At the line this time will be just over 10 laps to go, 11 of which to be exact. 11 laps to go at the line this time, and the rain is falling. How long will this track stay raceable on the dry tires? Will DJ E flat play some copycat to the back end of the papaya ahead of him? Will Lancey decide to do it? Uh-oh. DJ E flat has now left the session as well. Are we having some mass oh my god, I can't speak English. Mass disconnection. It doesn't appear that's the case, but now we've got DJ E flat and Taylor McKenzie, 2 drivers really now who have left the session. Taylor McKenzie, his Haas, Ice was gonna say, was on his way into the pit lane. He's taken control, and that car has spun wildly to the inside of the pit lane, and he's gotten it back going. Reimer now enters the pit lane. Reimer, we said, was going to need to get creative, and here he is. Reimer is going to be onto the intermediate tires here, yes. Obviously, no front wing being changed. He's not hit anything. But, again, these drivers still on track will now have to judge for themselves, and Lancey will again make that decision now, apparently, for Ayahuasca above all else, unless can DJ E flat rejoin the session. I'm afraid I can't add cars. Well, I can't add friends in the lobby here, as it turns out. I apologize to DJ E flat, but anyway. Well, it's Charlie Golf's going to slide completely through the corner, up through 3. Ronnie to the inside, a little bit of contact there. Oh, big slide! He's caught it, only just. King Pro player now up to 3rd, and let's see what Lancey decides to do. Will he come in this lap, or are the dry tires still the best option? Lancey goes for the pit lane. Ayahuasca will as well. Copycat is the call. Charlie Golf is too far behind to make an impact on this battle. So now, question is obviously it's going to be intermediate tires for everybody involved. DRS has been disabled by race control. That is the game telling us that the track is declared wet. DJ E flat exits the pit lane. He doesn't actually exit the pit lane because he's still on track. The car is ghosted and he's on the hard tires still. Reimer's got a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. He's down in 6th place. As DJ E flat has rejoined, he is still on those hard tires. If he stops here, then I'll tell you what now, Lancey is making up some good time. Of course, having DRS to the back end. Well, maybe not. He won't have DRS anymore, naturally. Idiot. Anyway, 10 laps to go now. DJ Flat, as he retaken control of his car, doesn't quite appear so just yet. He is still losing time to the back end of Lancey. As Reimer on the intermediates, Taylor McKenzie on the intermediates. We do only have just the Mercedes, Ghosted Mercedes of DJ Flat still on dry compound tires. Ayahuasca is behind Lancey now by 2.6 seconds. King Pro Player also wants to get into this battle. He's not quite close enough yet. As DJ Flat will enter the pit lane, trying to get on the throttle, does have a bit of a slide. And into the pit lane now he goes. He will probably exit the pit lane, I would say 6th position. As now the battle still. Ayahuasca, who is well behind Lancey for the time being, 2.2.5. Although, could start to close in here. Ayahuasca, of course, one of the most talented drivers we've got on tour. As Reimer will stay ahead of DJ Flat, exiting the pit lane. Reimer now has his sights set on Taylor McKenzie, up through turn number 3. Yeah, he's not going to have him, not quite yet. Top 3 cars now within 2 seconds of each other apiece. Ayahuasca trying to chop that time down to Lancey. King Pro Player trying to do the same to Ayahuasca as well. Reimer still to the back end of Taylor McKenzie. Mind you, oh, he's going to really... Well, I thought he was going to send it to the inside there. I don't know what that was. He hasn't. Mind you, Reimer still on 3 seconds of penalty. DJ Flat will currently get himself back up to 4th. Once these penalties are applied, that'll be a good result there for DJ Flat. Despite having disconnected from the session, he will at least be able to gain back 2 of those positions. As we have a yellow flag, Gasboy has retired. That's on track. That's a safety car. And oh, this is interesting now. I do not know which of these 2 drivers were ahead. I think Taylor McKenzie was ahead. As, wow, he is off to the inside somewhere over there, Gasboy. That is a massive incident. And now, when did Ayahuasca pick up 3 seconds? That must have been recently. I haven't noticed it until just now. Well, how the turntables as Lancey will lead this grid. On those intermediate tires, Valentine's got a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. Full safety car on track. We will get, I would say, 5 laps running here on the wet tires as a pack. Slayerized into the pit lane. He will be pitting here. It's interesting to tell if he's going to be going to... Yes, it is. It's going to be another set of intermediates here for Slayerized. That's an interesting call. I wouldn't have expected we're going to see drivers pit a second time for another additional set, but Slayerized has done that. So now the question lies with Lancey. Is he going to be able to hold off Ayahuasca King Pro Player behind him? King Pro Player especially is the, I don't want to say relevant, that's a rude way and probably incorrect way of putting it, but as far as time penalties are concerned, he is the most relevant driver in this battle to Lancey. DJ Flat is also in that mix, although DJ Flat back in 6th. Of course, you got to understand, we could see Lancey pick up a penalty. We could see King Pro pick up a penalty as well. It's definitely possible. I'm not saying it isn't. But as Lancey will pick up the safety car now, heading up through in towards turn 3. He will lead this Grand Prix and probably back to green flag racing here. At the line this time will be 6 laps to go of racing. 31, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I would assume we get going by 32, which will give us 5 laps of racing left to go. Well, it's interesting. Slayerized told me 45 minutes in. This rain has shown up at least, I would say, 13 to 14 minutes early. He told me 45 minutes in. We have been on track and going for only about 40 minutes. Actually, that's not true. We've had at least 3 minutes before the lights went out. So yeah, this rain is early either way. Let's put it to you like that. The rain has gone in early. Reimer's actually... that got really confused there for a second. I saw Reimer enter the pit lane. I thought it was Lancey, as Reimer had gotten to the top spot. We do have now another stop here for Reimer. Another driver choosing another set of intermediate tires. That's a very interesting call. That's twice now we've seen that happen. As again, we've only been running these intermediate tires for 3 or 4 laps. And at this point, only 2 or 3 of which have been in the dry conditions. So why we're seeing drivers take more sets of tires is actually quite interesting. I don't know how much of an advantage it will be, but apparently Reimer thinks that way, as well as potentially... who else did we see did that sort of thing? I think Slayer Eyes did that as well, yep. Well, if the line this time by will be 5 laps to go, I do not know yet, and it doesn't look as if we will get back to green flag racing this time round. The rain does not appear to be falling at a rate to which we need the full wet tires. Intermediates at the very most for the time being. The water, of course, has made the surface greasy, as you can see. It is not standing and collecting on the racing surface. That's good news. Bad news is that the overwhelming majority of the grid is currently sitting on time penalty, and of course we've got drivers in this battle for the top 5, which, without time penalty, we'd see a full-on 5-car battle for the end of the Grand Prix. As it turns out, it's only going to be 3 of which. Lancey, the leader, separated back to King Pro Player by Ayahuasca on a 3-second penalty. King Pro Player back to his teammate DJE Flat, separated by the penalized Haas of Taylor McKenzie. Only 6 cars remain on track without a penalty of some sort. Lancey, King Pro, DJE Flat, Granny, JC, and Frenchie. Everybody else has some sort of penalty to their name. What I will say is this, is that eventually, once you have a full grid of drivers on penalty, it does become a brand new race all over again, and, well, at that point, it goes down to if you have 6 seconds versus 3. Of course, we do have 3 drivers on track currently with 6 seconds. That's Taylor McKenzie, Charlie Golf, and Ronnie. Valentine has a drive-through, although I do believe he has at least 3 seconds to his name as well. If we go back to green flag racing this time by 33, 34, 35, and 36, 4 laps of racing remaining here at the Red Bull Ring. And that answers that question. Safety car will be in, and then... Oh, what in the hell is this? Well, Taylor McKenzie and DJE Flat has said, screw this, I'm not waiting for the green lights. Let's crash and hit into each other now. And there is definitely front wing missing from at least one of those cars. Well, I guess not. It certainly appeared that there was. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but either way. Taylor McKenzie is going to give DJE Flat that spot. I wonder if the game is going to penalize DJE Flat for overtaking. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the case, but we'll find out. Oh, and it's a bit of a collision back there, as we are still not up to green flag. Reimer has lost a front wing. I saw an orange front wing fly behind. As back to green flag racing we go. 4 laps remaining here in the wet. King Pro Player is going to have to get round Ayahuasca rather quickly. And oh, look at this. He's on his way now, and he's got full battery. Lancey's going to have to start using this defensively, as now King Pro Player has firmly inserted himself into this battle for the lead, as Ayahuasca wants it to the inside. He won't get it. On acceleration now, King Pro Player. Lancey's gotten away much better as Reimer has gotten around Charlie Golf. Charlie, I think, has actually spun the wheels there, getting back up to speed. Gab has gotten around Slayerized. JC, under pressure from Jacob, around the outside. The Williams is going to have it. King Pro Player 3.5 tenths of a second behind to Lancey, as through 6 and in towards turn 7 they go. 3 laps of racing next time by. As through 7, through 8, King Pro behind by 2 tenths of a second, as Lancey will have to defend like a lion now. Through the Jacques and Rindt corner, in now towards turn 10. Oh, this is turning out to be such an ending to this race as King Pro Player escapes without a penalty there. Surely a warning, but no penalty. Reimer to the inside. We'll have Taylor Mackenzie up through turn 1. The Haas is going to break a little bit later there on the outside, but will go wide. Reimer will get that spot. King Pro, 0.2 of a second back to Lancey up the hill, heading in towards turn 3. If anybody's going to challenge Lancey today, has not necessarily had it easy. I would have thought DJ E Flat was actually probably the best driver on track today. Unfortunately, he had to lag out of the session, as DJ E Flat now gets around Ayahuasca, has a second behind to both his teammate and Lancey. Potentially looking at a 3-car battle for the win here with DJ E Flat, his teammate at King Pro, and of course Lancey at the top spot as Charlie Gulf has gone round. Exiting turn 4, that car has shed a bit of carbon fiber and is now well at the back. And at the line this time will be 2 laps to go. King Pro Player in behind Lancey, having to try his best to find some sort of advantage that the McLaren hasn't found quite yet. Where will that be? What will it be? That's a little bit of a slide there for Lancey. King Pro has not gotten away any better, although it's still now starting to make up time. Valentine has gotten now around, well, I was going to say has gotten around Taylor Mackenzie, is now serving his drive-through. Again, you can't serve that under safety car, and is now serving it. 0.4 of a second, 2 laps to go. King Pro, I don't want to say has to start getting desperate, but he's only really got maybe 1, 2, 3, and 4 genuine overtaking opportunities now. He's got it into turn 4. Turn 1 this next time by turn 3. Turn 4 again. Yeah, King Pro's got to start really sending it here. Even if it means losing a race win because of sending it, that's a valuable reason and a valid reason of doing that. And Lancey doesn't necessarily appear to be driving off with this one, but he looks comfortable and confident. We talked about that earlier. Confidence weighs a lot more than comfort, and confidence it is for Lancey. Through the Jacques and Rindt corner. For the penultimate time at the line will be the final lap of the Grand Prix. A little bit of a slide there for Lancey. Could this be the opportunity for King Pro Player? As down the pit straight, Lancey will lead up the hill into the Niki Lauda corner. King Pro Player follows in behind, watches and hopes for a mistake, as we do have a mistake from Taylor Mackenzie and I believe Gab as well, down the pit straight. And now, heading up the hill in towards turn 3, King Pro Player is, well, nowhere to be found challenging the McLaren. As, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Looking for the inside. Oh, I think he almost had it. Using the energy store now, Lancey will be using it in defense. Down the hill, heading in towards turn 4. 0.3 of a second. Oh, that's going to be so close here between the two as we have a yellow flag. Mackenzie's gone around again, I'm afraid. Down to 13th. Through 5, heading through 6. King Pro, a little bit later on the brakes. If Lancey makes a mistake, it could be up to the Mercedes here to send it. Now through 7, through 8 after that. Could this be the opportunity? The opening for King Pro. He's going to look for the inside. He's got to really send it on Lancey now. He's going to look for it. Contact made. Still wheel to wheel. Potentially. Lancey deep through the corner. King Pro's going to go wide. Lancey will win the Austrian Grand Prix. Not his home Grand Prix, but the Austrian Grand Prix nonetheless. What a fantastic ending to that race. Double podium for the Mercedes. Ayahuasca 4th, Granny 5th, Reimer 6th, Ronnie 7th, 8th is Jacob, Gab 9th, 10th is Slayer Eyes. That's your top 10. And hey, fellas, really quick, want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We will see you on Monday, January the 6th for the Silverstone, the British Grand Prix. For Hotspot, it has been a pleasure joining it once again. And we'll see you next time.